Welcome to another episode of Cantina Chronicles. The Cantina Crew is reunited. Ben and I are no longer lost to the void. We are now back with Adam in the known galaxy. Happy to be here. Happy to see you, Adam. Adam, we're so excited to hear your thoughts about Ahsoka, and hopefully you were tuned in to our conversation last week and you have thoughts about what we thought about the show. So take the floor.
I'm back. I had the pleasure of listening to you both in my ear holes while I was in a very long shuttle ride back from the Northern Territories. I don't know if this is starting to fall apart, but it was really wonderful listening. I have a lot to say, but I think it will come up organically as we kind of do a review and talk about it. But I will say, I was bummed to not be there. Yet part of me, when you got into a really necessary discussion of the Mortis arc, was kind of glad I wasn't present.
Did you have notes,
put it
Adam?
that way. My note is, I don't care about the Mortis arc.
Oh.
I don't care.
Oh, wow.
I don't like it. I don't care. But I love Star Wars. I'm not like, it's not like I knew it was coming. I will be fine with it. I have a live action bias, so seeing it in live action like raised it a couple points automatically for me. But I do want to do one tinfoil theory that you were kind of talking about who might be. We're starting hot. So part of the discussion last week was, who might be the father, the brother, and the sister, right? Like who might take on those roles.
Right.
And I still think because the father's balance, right, in the Force between the siblings, I still think that might be Baylan. I think he might take on that role because I think he still has this idea of like, his idea of balance is shut it all down. Like balance is zero, a zero on the sheet that they have canceled each other's out. So my whole theory is because, we've talked about the crazy theories that Filoni is going to retcon the sequel trilogy. And I think what he's doing is weaving in the sequel trilogy. We've seen it with the cloak, the cloak, which is my, abbreviation of Snoke cloning, is that I have a feeling that the other thing he's doing is explaining why Rey is so special, why it seems like there's no other Jedi in the galaxy. We talked about the Force going to sleep, right? The Force needs to awaken. Yeah. I have a feeling that Baylan's going to put the Force to sleep, and that's why it needs to awaken 30 years later with Rey. Like that's my thing, kind of really mess everything up.
I love that, man.
That's funny. You and the guy at my local have that
same theory.
Same theory.
Thank you.
The shutting off the Force theory was I've heard that a couple times already. I'm excited about that idea. I really love that. He does mention he's chasing power though. Like there's a power he's after.
But that power might be to have the power to turn it off.
Turn the power off.
Right. The other reason I kind of like this in a weird way is that part of what we've talked about in this podcast is needing to expand the timeline of the galaxy, spend more time post and pre and all of these things. We are really stuck in this era. And if that happens, it does two things. One, it means we can start telling stories outside of this era because there's not a lot of Jedi going on for the past 30 years, which I think makes sense based on what we saw in the sequel trilogy. But also means you can tell stories that aren't Force-centric around this time. More political, more gangsters, more pirates, more other things going on. So anyway, that's my wacky theory. It will be wrong because literally every single theory within the Mandoverse of mine has been wrong.
Well, no, I like it. I think it's poetic, though. So what you're saying, I think, is extremely poetic. Like just the idea that the Force awakens and sort of playing into that in a really kind of operatic way, wherein there's this massive sort of like mythic story with Baylan's skull and the Mortis gods and Ahsoka. That could be so cool. So I'm in on it. I like it. He did speak of power. He's after
it's true.
Power.
It's very true. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the things that we said comes true, and it would all feel organic. Does that make sense? Like it's not like I'm like, this has to be the way. The other thing I'll say is my one sentence review of episode 8 is, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory, to quote Milhouse from The Simpsons? that I'm sorry. I liked a lot of it. I mean, also I wanted to see zombie stormtroopers. That
was made for you, Adam. That was your thing.
Yeah, we were kind of upset discussing that anyway.
I felt that's the moment I felt most when I'm like, wait, zombies. It's like literally my two favorite things in the world are combined now. But when they are slow rolling their way to Thrawn, that scene, I'm literally have it going on in the background right now. My wife and I had to stop it and go, what are they doing? They know there's a ticking clock. Right. They have a spaceship. Go.
Dude, Adam, they can't outlast.
They
can't outthink the master tactician who has decided brilliantly to just send a bunch of guys at him. And
just a bunch of them.
And they've been
some more, and then another one, and then another one.
He's like, excellent. Now they're slowed down.
I guess it worked, right? Like, it apparently worked. Not for anything he really did, but for them. The other thing,
he only sacrificed a demigod witch,
right?
Legion of stormtroopers, two actually dead death troopers, which is hilarious.
Yes. We're 100% getting Rebel Thrawn and not Zon Thrawn. I mean, that's just been determined. The other thing I'll say is I just want to get all my grievances out of the air, because I'm going to do something later. I'm going to throw something at you later that I think will kind of, make my feelings about this series clear, which is I overall really liked it. The scene where Ezra walks out wearing the Stormtrooper helmet.
Yep.
I was so angry.
Why? Come on, that was the moment.
Yes, that was a fake Hollywood. The most thing that took me out of a Star Wars almost ever, where I'm like, this is clearly a TV show, because why? Why is he wearing a Stormtrooper helmet, walking out knowing there's a bunch of rebels?
Right, that would blow him away.
That's all. Like,
it's for dramatic reveal.
It's Ezra's thing. He
wears a fake dramatic reveal. Yes, he wears it. So there's two options.
Yeah, like he nearly dies.
Also, don't bother showing us his daring escape. That's fine. We don't need to see that. We just need to see whatever. But the other thing is that, like, so there's two options. He either wore the helmet the entire time he's flying back, which is weird, or he's just like, you know what? I'm going to put this helmet on and walk out, which is equally weird. It's weird.
I think it's very Ezra. Like, that was his motif. It was like always stealing armor, and he loved helmets, and that's the crown jewel of the Kitsuki Stormtrooper helmet. That is the crown jewel of his collection now. And we're going to talk about him going back to his place, which was Sabine's place, which was his place. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I love it. I totally get it. He showed it, taking it. I understand that. And I understand it's weird, because the more I'm talking about it is there are many times in Rebels where he likes to fake people out by wearing stuff. That is a risky gambit.
Yes. Well, he's very attuned to the Force, Adam.
That's true.
And you know what? He likes a good gag. He's coming back.
A good gag.
Yeah.
I do like Happy Ezra. I mean, so again, I just need to get all of that out of my system.
All right. Done.
I really, really like this series. I really, really liked a lot about this episode. I'm very excited about where we're going from here.
I wanted to address that first comment you had with Skull, because first of all, I think that's a really cool idea. It makes a lot of sense. It's better. My ideas are burp, Mortis, burp, put in a Trinity.
Well, I'm already computing the logic on that. Doesn't Ben Solo isn't he feeling some connection to the Force? Isn't his Force power growing?
There is Force out there, right? Because we also have Luke still has the Force, right? So it's not an airtight theory at all.
So that tap never gets shut off.
Really?
No, but it might get something. I mean, again, we're dealing with mysticism. Might be able to make it so it's harder for it to come about in people who don't already have it. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, I was looking back through my notes from the whole season. Because I was just I just watched a Wes Anderson movie. I've got to reset my brain. But everything is just curtains next to it. It's like a stage. All right.
Right.
But yeah, so
got to track around a set.
Yeah, I think it was back in episode 6. Balin says he wants to break the cycle, and what I seek is the beginning. So I mean, the beginning is either like a Mangold sort of shoehorn, or to the Dawn of the Jedi movie, or I think it's just he's trying to get to Mortis. I think that what we see in the last scene in the distance there is just a gateway to Mortis, because we actually haven't had that yet, right? We don't have it. They just like showed up there, and then the world between worlds is like the Mortis sort of like tool playground. I don't know that they use. So maybe you can take the world between worlds to get to Mortis. That would be kind of fun. But I think it's some sort of portal. Yeah. But then like what so the fun part is that like how much have we talked about balance? What is balance in the Force?
Yeah.
Right. How much has everyone talked about balance? And so like that's now the sort of real crux of whatever Ahsoka season 2 is. It's like, what does Baylan think about balance? Yeah. What is his plan?
Well, and I love that they're doing that in universe, right, or in galaxy, because like it's the same thing of just like I love that we've had this debate about midichlorians in galaxy as well as outside of galaxy, where it's just like now canon. The other people are just like, yeah, that whole thing that Qui-Gon said is a wacky theory, right? And they're talking about it, and I like the fact that similarly, like we might have a different characters differing view on what bringing balance to Force means. I love that.
I'm here for that. And he's seen both sides, and yes, he's been a little dark, but don't you feel like he has good intentions? I mean, you can say that about most antagonists, right? But
I think he has what he thinks is, this is a complicated sentence. I think he has what he thinks is noble goals, or not noble, selfless goals. I think he's going to do what we didn't get a sacrifice play really in this series, which I think is crux in a Star Wars movie. If anything's taught us anything, is sacrifice, right? I think he's going to be the character that sacrifices himself. I think for for the wrong, what turns out to be the wrong reasons,
right.
But for
what that is foreshadowed to an extent with when he does talk to Shin about her place being in the new Empire, and he has to go do this. Grand quest for power. It seems like he wants her to go live, with whatever side is winning, and hopefully I guess he's partial to the Empire, which
he's partial to Thrawn.
Paints him as a villain. In the text, but it's interesting. For me, it's like I have to imagine there's got to be some counter to Ahsoka, who in my mind represents the sister right now. Because if you watch those episodes way back in the Clone Wars, it's like the sister basically transfers her essence into Ahsoka, and then the bird is following Ahsoka. It's like I have to think the sister is tied directly to Ahsoka in some way, and there has to be a payoff with that. And then I think about Filoni and how reverent he is of George, and how what we might get just might be an echo of kind of the Mortis arc, or what we got in Clone Wars, more than like anything new. It might be like. And it might be that Anakin becomes the father, because you're telling me Baylan won't be able to see that ghost at some point. Like I have to think that Anakin will step in as the father type character, and Baylan might represent the brother in some way, and then Ahsoka we know represents the sister, given that the bird is following her around. So like that's just my own theory. But again, it's so sad that Ray Stevenson passed, because it's likely probably not going to be Baylan. I mean, I don't know. We had a little bit of a recasting conversation last week, but I think Ben and I both landed on the idea that maybe that's not the right idea. I
just had a different idea. Oh, actually, I do want to hear. Let me say this, and then you can reflect on all of it.
Go for
it. Deep fake Baylan skull. I just thought of it because we didn't say it. I mean, I don't know why Ray Stevens would be like, yes, use my visage to complete the series and however you want, and let me live on. I don't know why he would say that, because I feel like that's generally offensive to most actors. I don't know. I'm not an actor. I don't know. But like when I listen to podcasts with actors, they seem kind of revolted. And the whole, a lot of the strike was about not allowing their visage to be used without their permission and all that. But, if Ray was like, hey, this, I'm not going to be able to get around to the second season, which is like, I want to cry now. But, but you can keep it going that way. It's an option.
Yeah. I want to, since I'm monitoring transmissions, Jason R is on there. And his idea, I just want to say that he had thought about this. He thinks they should honor his performance and they should recast. Right, like it's interesting. So I think from a very I always tend to take the perspective of just the realism of capitalism, Not that I'm pro-capitalism, but in the reality we live in is that I think Disney is smart enough that all of these people sign rights away in terms of like I think in order to be in a Star War, I'm guessing that is in there in the fine print, and I'm guessing it's probably non-negotiable for certain people. So I think they could do that. That being said, I think with everything that's going on currently, it might be a bad look for them.
Yeah.
To do that with everything that's happening. So
that's right.
Kathy Kennedy is not a villain. She's not going to use someone's thing to be like, well, contractually, like it doesn't feel like Lucasfilm's ever been that kind of company.
I don't think so. They might, if they do it at all, they might do it in the to pull in Fast and the Furious, which I didn't think I would do in this podcast
again.
But they might do like the Fast and the Furious 7 thing, where it was done shooting, but they used a little bit of like deep faking and other things in order to kind of end that person's story. Right. So they may do it if it's necessary for a few
with Paul
scenes.
Walker's brother, though, it felt very tight to the family.
And I'm sure I would hope if they did it, they would talk to Ray Stevenson's, family and get their permission. If they didn't, then they wouldn't. But like, I think you guys hit the nail on the head, which I didn't even think about, which is there was something, because Carly and I were talking about Shin Hati's stuff was so weird. Her ending in this season was really weird. Everything you said was right, that like, go do this, and then she just shows up randomly with the Raiders. Right. It's just like, here. I think
with her back turn,
almost
as if it was a reshoot.
Is a reshoot. It's 100% a reshoot, and I think it's a post his passing reshoot, very quickly done, and that like we need to, as you guys called it last week, I think they're putting her in that position now, that they're recentering her in terms of she will carry on whatever plot that was with him, which then opens it up for Anakin, right, to be the father, because the math kind of
still works if and there's lots of theories there, right? But the whole to your theory, Adam, of like finding the essence or the source of the Force and sort of shutting it off, like that wouldn't be what Shin wants
it wouldn't work with Shin.
Wouldn't know to do that.
Really. It wouldn't work. It'd be forced, right? And so if they're honoring him by not recasting or not doing that, then you can change the plot, right? There's plenty of time. It's not written.
Right.
There's still plenty of organic ways this could go. The thing that I want to say that I really loved about this episode, because I went hard at it first, is that and Carly and I kind of went back and forth on this a little bit, kind of discussing it, is I love the ending that Ahsoka and excuse me, still sick, by the way.
Oh, buddy.
It's like week 7. And this is not even COVID anymore. This is just some other thing my 3-year-old brought home. But not really sick, Ben. Don't worry. I'm not going to get your party all infected tomorrow.
Oh, it's fine.
Just still can't talk.
I'm in the like, let's expose ourselves to more bacteria sort of phase. Yeah. I think we need to hardy up our immune systems.
Yeah.
And nothing like a Halloween party to do that.
Right? It's going to be fun. A little peek behind the curtain. So anyway, I was going to say that I think, that I love the fact that Sabine and Ahsoka are stuck there, and that Ahsoka was very much like zen about it, right? About this idea, because and that Ezra got back to the known galaxy, because my thinking is she was just like, will the Force. I love that we're now part of this. Ahsoka is still a badass with the sabers, right? We'll light those sabers up, we'll take people out, but knows that she's being, is an instrument of the Force, and knowing that like she's not worried about it, because the person that took down Thrawn the first time is back in the galaxy with Thrawn. So my thought is that her thought is like, Thrawn's no longer dangerous because Ezra's there.
Yeah.
And that she has bigger things to take care of in the Force. I love that.
Yeah. It was very, very interesting.
I think we could not stop just, praising Ezra at last episode too. Cause I mean, I just loved the action sequences with Ezra. Like, I loved watching Ezra. I think that if we do more storytelling with Ezra, it's going to be exciting and fun. It's actually a Jedi I can get behind in a huge way.
Yeah.
Which is like rare in Star Wars. And it's kind of sad that's rare.
He has that Obi-Wan-ness from episode 4. Yes. Like he's a little imp, right? Like he has like a funny, like little, like, I love that he's just like precociousness. I love it. Yeah.
And just like taking out like 3 or 4 stormtroopers at a time, like this is the sort of action that I love. And like, and I thought the choreography was great, and I thought Filoni did great action scene blocking, and like that finale, I thought it was fantastic. Like Ezra's just like gliding across the floor, like slicing stormtroopers in half. I was like, this is awesome, and I love Ezra, and I love watching him. And so, I'm super hopeful that Ahsoka season 2, picks up with Ezra, like right where we left off. And
I know there's so much fun stuff
really
you can do with that character. You're right. He's a super great Jedi. I haven't even thought of it. Yeah.
Can I now also make an argument? Not that you guys made the other argument, but the internet kind of has been doing what the internet does is that I have now become pro Sabine using the Force.
Great.
Oh yeah, we did that last week.
Yeah,
we were like,
you guys
we didn't understand that at all. We loved it.
You guys were in on it, but I want to give my argument too. Is that so Luke didn't pull a lightsaber to himself until he was in a cave, about to die, right?
Yeah.
And it was unlocked in him, just as it was unlocked in Sabine, right?
And blowing up the Death Star, like, come on, like, what are we talking about here? Like, in a lot of ways, Luke pulls the impossible as the first kind of Force,
which is the first Force thing, and we get some of that early in the Sabine stuff, even as you mentioned in Rebels, even right when she gets to training. So, I'm fine with it. I think they actually took their time with it, even though you can kind of see it coming a mile away. But the Force got unlocked just like it did in Luke, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I loved it. Going back to the Night Troopers,
yes, please.
I almost wish the Night Troopers were introduced a little earlier in the show. And if Thrawn, if the Shadow Council is waiting for Thrawn to return to the galaxy, you're not telling me there aren't, battalions upon battalions that are waiting for him to, lead them. Like, I don't know. I know he values loyalty, and I know he likely values the troopers that, helped him survive on this forsaken planet. But I would have just loved introducing them earlier, so we're not just having a lot of like fights with bandits, but really exploring with the Night Troopers and using the sort of zombification of them and how they can just revive back to life and keep attacking and I would have almost loved a scene where he puts like all of them out there to stop Ahsoka.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowing that he has more troopers when he gets back to the known galaxy. I almost, and if you're gonna, I think one mystery needed to unravel, either Enoch or Balin and Shin. I think one of those things needed to unlock in this season. And
I agree.
And I agree. I was like, who is Enoch? What's going on here?
Right.
And so it's I wish something was just unraveled.
That was my biggest fear at the beginning of the season, and I think I talked about it. I was just from the episode 1, I guess the knowing that Thrawn was going to be introduced, I was like, well, you're not going to resolve Thrawn in 8 episodes, right? That's definitely not happening. So I'm just just don't be too bad of a cliffhanger. And it was all a cliffhanger.
It's all cliffhanger. Yeah. So here's the thing. I am a little frustrated with how Disney Plus does programming in terms of still to this day, to today, October 12th, Ahsoka season 2 has not been confirmed.
Yeah.
They've made no announcement. We all know it's coming. But when you don't do that, and you don't call it seasons, and you treat it as if it's a miniseries, you're setting your fans up to an expectation that it's going to be a standalone, like we got with Obi-Wan. So you need to make it clear, which they don't make. I understand they don't want to make it the commitment, but they need to make it clear that this is season 1 of a series that's going to have it. So then you enter in expecting large cliffhangers, right? We all know that, knowing that this is leading to a movie at some point, but I wasn't even that sure that because of the timing, there's part of me that thought we might just get an Ahsoka miniseries and that's it before the movie, because you still got Mando season 4, you still got Skeleton Crew, you still got other stuff that needs to be, that's in the hopper before we can even get to the movie. So I think they need to make it a little clear.
Yeah. I would love it. I mean, I love that, Adam. And I love the idea of if it's just, this was the Ahsoka series, maybe the follow-up to this is not called Ahsoka. Maybe it's called something else. What if it's the Legend of Shin Hati, and it's we get an episode or two of no, I know, laugh,
dude. I'm front and center for that.
Yeah, I know you'd be totally, but maybe the first episode is some background, or first 2 episodes or some background stuff, and then I don't know. And then it sort of picks up.
The internet is in love with Shin Hati, so that,
or she goes to the world between worlds, chasing after.
But there
Baylan Skull, right? But she doesn't find him. She falls in the world between worlds. Maybe she sees his death in one of the windows. But it's her going through these portals, and then she ends up as the sun. She's it's her slow. It's all about her slow descent to the dark side. And then it's and in the middle of it, they tell the story of what happens with Ahsoka and Sabine. And but it's like but the focus is on Shin, and then it like her progression, she fell to the dark side and became the sun. Her tumbling into godhood as an evil deity. That could be fun.
Love it.
I mean, it's interesting. I feel like we've only just brushed the surface when it comes to the world between worlds, and I feel like if you look at the title font for Ahsoka, it's like there's so much. It just evokes the world between worlds that I'm just like, I think there's another part of this story that we're just not.
Yeah.
I think Filoni almost wanted this break to really develop this and break this Mortis thing that he's working on. I think he was like, I don't truly have what I think is perfect just yet. Therefore, it ends with just Baylan standing on the hand of the statue, and so but now I can really take the time to meditate on what this needs to be and what this needs to represent. And so I think that's what Ahsoka. I think it'll be called Ahsoka, and I think it'll be called Ahsoka season 2 or whatever.
Ahsoka season 2. Yeah. Because here's the thing: names don't matter. Because if this show should not have been called anything, it probably shouldn't have been called.
Probably should have been called Sabine. No, like it was about Sabine
or Rebels or something. Like I love Ahsoka.
The Knights of Ren,
it took a
but
long
it's WREN.
Yeah, there you go. Love it.
Right. And aside from Ahsoka's sort of like trials in the nether realm of the Force, it's like if we haven't done any real like time jumping or like time traveling.
No.
I'm just wondering, and if Baylan was indeed going to break the cycle in some way, and possibly through time travel, or if we're going to time travel in season 2, like where do we go? Like that's what's confusing to me, because in Rebels we got clear instances of seeing, time travel where Ezra saves Ahsoka, he goes back to the fight, on
Malachor,
Moraband. I'm sorry,
right.
And then and saves her. And so that's like, I'm just expecting a moment like that to occur again in Ahsoka. But I'm just wondering where do they go?
Why?
What do they do? How do they change history? Basically?
Yeah, totally.
And so I would love to pose that to you guys. Like, if in season 2 we do something similar to Rebels, wherein you can actually go and interact with a moment in history, where do we go? What are we doing there? You know what I mean? Like that's because I'm just perplexed. I have no idea where they'd go and what would happen, other than to stop Qui-Gon from finding Anakin,
oh my God.
Like stop.
Yeah,
Rising,
I love that idea
though. Power. Like I just don't know where would go really.
Yeah, that's fascinating, right? Because if it's within the world of the series they created, I can't see any of them making those decisions. But I think you're right; it'd have to be larger within Galaxy, right? Like it'd have to threaten everything we know about Star Wars.
They can't just all walk up to Mortis and then just take the throne and say, "I am the person." Like there's got to be some conflict there. I'd love for something wacky, quote unquote, to happen there. Like they arrive and Abeloth is like balancing the whole Force by herself. Like there's something.
I love.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of something gone astray. We know all the Mortis gods are dead, so like they can't just go to an empty chamber and like try and start pressing buttons and looking for.
I just don't know how a corrupted mother works politically. To me, that's like bizarre. If the father is this all-knowing sort of balance figure and then the mother is fully corrupted, I just don't know what that is really. It's like it's a weird story.
Chaos.
In my opinion. Like, I don't think that's not a modern story.
That could be the thing. Like maybe it wasn't a trinity, maybe it was like a quadrangle or whatever, right? And the father brought balance, but I don't know, and the mother brings chaos. Like I don't know.
Chaos.
Well, that's exactly
chaos.
It is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, good call, Bill.
Adam.
Good call. What's that?
Fate of the Jedi and how they wanted those writers to actually work Abeloth.
Yes.
The mother of the Mortis gods.
Yeah,
they wanted to work in the mother into those tales specifically. And
they did. Yeah. But
that was after the Clone Wars episodes or concurrently, basically.
Something like that. Yeah. It's so weird because I read them so late. Like later on, that I was like, my mind was kind of like blown. I'm like, oh, that's right. There were like Clone Wars cartoons happening while this is being written.
And
and so they were foisting the mother onto these authors.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about the politics of like the father bringing balance and the mother bringing chaos. But I think if you have the daughter is the goddess of the light side, and the sun is dark, it's true. There's sort of and plus
there's a balance. You could say there's a balance.
Oh, so that you could say that actually, yeah. And also, I mean, I just want to say how great it's been to have like this like whole series has been like all female protagonists, and it's been really fun. It's just been like refreshing and great. It's just fun to watch, and I'm glad it's going to keep going.
Yeah. One thing you all didn't talk about last week was
we talked about him at the end, didn't we?
Anakin?
Did you? I didn't hear. I didn't remember.
Yeah,
but the Force Ghost
talking
Anakin.
about Anakin possibly representing
In general, but just the fact that I mean, yes, in terms of like what role he might play, you did, but fair enough. But I just
why he's there.
Did you think like I loved it? I mean, anytime you get a Force Ghost, I am pro Force Ghost. I would love in our TV series to allow Force Ghosts to speak.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that so much. We've gotten very silent Force Ghosts in our TV.
Do we owe Ben an apology, Adam?
No. These are two separate beings.
Litigate this with me. Like, let's figure this out.
Kidding
This
me.
is not the same.
No. I want to hear this, Adam. I want to hear this. What
being the entity from the actual the trials, the Force, trials that Ahsoka went through. This is a different version of Anakin. This is an active Anakin
because he sure wasn't blue and glowy, so he wasn't a Force Ghost, so now he is.
My
and I just
oh my gosh.
No,
I accept your apology. Thank you. That was very nice of you, Adam. You still have work to do, buddy.
I was actually just like bowing before Ben last week because I was just like, I think Ben's super tapped in. And
Jason, I know you're with me too. I know you're listening and you're with me.
Unfortunately, Jason had to go get dinner, so he's
no. But I literally know he's with me because I've talked to him about
it. Well, he can't back you up, so I guess you're just making stuff up. So so what I will say is, no, I honestly, yes, you're probably right.
Season 2, that wasn't me. That was a figment of your imagination. The second one, that was me. That's the line I can't wait to hear next season.
He was so memory scrambled though in like the Force Vision. I don't think it was Anakin.
It didn't feel like Anakin to me. It still doesn't. It feels like the Force. And so the thing is that I don't see any evidence that supports either of our assertions because you have a Force Ghost. If they made him not sparkling blue, then I'd be like, great, or Ben, you're 100%
Adam, you're
right.
embarrassing
but because
yourself.
they gave us a completely different. No, I'm not.
Well, the costume wasn't the brown robes at the end, right?
Because
the finale.
Yeah.
Okay, that Adam and I think were like, if he's not in those robes,
exactly, he's not a Force Ghost. So
be.
It's not the Anakin, it's the Force. So here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say, Ben. I'm telling you how I honestly feel. If Lucasfilm were to come out tomorrow and say, here's a Force Ghost in both things, I'd be like, okay, cool.
Oh my god.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't.
Do we gotta get Pablo Hidalgo involved? Do I really have to mash the Pablo button?
I think we need to call Pablo.
Yeah, I mean,
can you please settle this so
if you're asking, but no, honestly, because here's the thing is I feel weird about this. Like, if you're asking me what do I think, I'm telling you what I honestly think, and it's not because I think I have anything like any like big
right.
Like,
no one's got any skin in the game here.
Care enough.
Driver interview.
But I honestly feel this way. I honestly do think that
just because the glowy blue light
was. No, he didn't feel like a Force Ghost to me. He felt more like an entity of the Force. He felt like something that we've seen before in this, and not like him. Yeah. Like, but
no.
I don't
you know what?
Like,
you know what? It might bear out a little bit because of the venue. It's sort of like when we don't know what Anakin is.
That's kind of where I'm at.
We don't know what Anakin. It was Anakin, right?
It was the will of the Force.
Okay.
It was her projecting the will of the Force. Or something.
I will grant you that like it's most probable, and obviously for like visual reasons, like he can't have a glowy blue outline while he's like storming
it'd be weird
beaches of Normandy or whatever. Like he, and maybe it might end up that he is more palpable in the world between worlds, like and in fact he might be able to just exist there as a dead person.
That's the other thing is we're arguing about faith.
Truly, that's what she does over the course of the season.
Right.
Is learn to love him and learn to see him for the.
That's interesting. Couldn't see him as his actual Force Ghost until the very
complex
end.
human.
I will say, Adam, it is precedented, right? Because like you could argue Ben Solo saw he obviously that was not a Han Solo Force Ghost, but I mean they did mention it on screen, but like that is
I've been every voice in your head this entire time.
Yeah, maybe it's Snoke, or maybe it's Palps. No, but here's the thing, like I don't know. This is my gut feeling is that it's just a representation of the Force, but like yeah, it could totally be Anakin. I love that. It doesn't change my opinion about like it's so funny is that I don't know why I even have an opinion because. Tell me it's a Force Ghost. Tell me it's the will of the Force. That scene is equally powerful to me. Like it
almost doesn't matter really.
It does not matter to me.
It's really what Ahsoka.
I'm just telling you what I feel.
Well, let me pivot on this for a little bit then, because I agree with you. That's fine. I'm not. I'm not.
Is this still about Hayden Christensen or
no? It's about Force Ghost.
Let me ask. Oh, actually, Force Ghost. Go ahead. That's more relevant. Go for it.
Okay. It's just Force Ghost. So, you know what's funny is like Ahsoka just doesn't. so we don't know if that was a Force ghost or not. Okay.
I'm not going to argue with you. She could say it's a Force ghost. That's fine.
Okay. But you're right. We don't know because Ahsoka doesn't tell anybody, right? Like
right.
She doesn't even tell Huyang that she had that vision.
No.
But so is there any precedent of Luke telling anyone he sees ghosts?
So live action, no. In books, I think. Oh wait, now am I talking
only
about
when they're
old
talking
EU
to
or
themselves?
new EU?
Oh yeah.
He's talked. I mean, old EU. He talked to Leia about seeing, but I don't know about new.
Oh,
EU.
he does tell Rey.
Well, maybe that's what. So wait,
Rey
Adam. Wait, guys, I
had
an epiphany, guys.
Okay, yes.
What? So, Adam, with your theory of Balin's skull being on a quest to shut off the Force, what if it's really just to destroy the nether realm of the Force? So ghosts can no longer interact with the living world. Like, because to me, I'm like, Anakin Skywalker could have like ended the sequel trilogy day one if he like started talking to some people.
However, so what the heck?
What?
So one of my favorite things at the end of Rise of Skywalker is and I'm using that sarcastically, is all the Force voices talking to her, because which is one thing. It's just like, yeah, because maybe that's what's happening. Is like maybe she undoes it. One thing is like she's like, great, who are you all? These are pointless voices.
Like, where have you been?
Luke. I know Luke. The other 17 people talk to me. It's just random people saying motivational things.
Right.
Sorry. But and they also drives me nuts that they shot all of that with actual people and decided not to show us that.
Can you imagine what that would have looked like? Little cloud bubbles.
I know. I think that's kind of what they figured out is like
maybe star shapes with their faces in the stars.
Encircled the character.
Right. Oh, I think Grant's got it.
Space with the ghost.
Yeah,
that could have
actually
awesome.
have them circled and kind of make it really
that'd be amazing.
And
because you're thinking about just like a wide shot. I'm thinking about
like actually like circling around, rise. Oh yeah, love it. Anyway,
that would have been amazing, actually.
Yes, no, agreed. Grant sold me on it immediately with that imagery. Yeah, I'm there.
Visual stuff,
yeah,
you could even have all the other like Sith lords behind Homeboy too.
And you really couldn't.
Well, he is all the Sith.
Add a lot of detail to their faces either. Just Jedi robes. Just a bunch of Jedi surrounding someone. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I love what we're talking about because I'm interested to see what they do with Anakin Skywalker now that he's back in the story. Because this is a question I had watching the sequel trilogy. Was like, wouldn't Anakin's ghost come through to either Luke or Ben Solo in some way and sort of try to guide them in any which way, having learned so much from his failure? Like I don't know.
Luke for sure. Like I feel like you could make an argument with Ben because he had. It's weird to be now trying to like justify things, but because you had Palps in his mind for so long, that you could make the argument that he was shutting that down. Right, his dark side powers clouding Ben's ability. So it'd be interesting if there's a scene. I mean, it'd be hard to shoot, maybe in a book, where like Anakin's ghost is trying to communicate with Ben through this entire thing, but can't. Because Palps is just, there's a wall between that, like a wall of the dark side, right? A cloud that he can't get through. It'd be interesting.
Sure.
The thing I wanted to ask is, I mean, I don't think we all knew, but there's a lot of rumors about Hayden Christensen showing up on Ahsoka. They talked about the fact that he kind of was like spotted around shooting locations and that like he was well received with what he did in Obi-Wan. So we were I don't think any of us were surprised to see him. I was very surprised. Were you surprised to see him in 3 out of the 8 episodes of Ahsoka?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't imagine we would get this much. I'm so happy we got this man Anakin, but I never thought. I thought maybe get like a brief cameo. But
well, we talked about it. I think what we expect. We did hope for it for Hayden. We're like, we talked about how powerful it would be, but this was like bang bang bang. Yeah, we got a lot of him.
Yeah. My favorite meme of the week on the internet is have you seen the meme with Ahsoka saying this is his last recording, and then Huyang showing him bowing behind underneath Palpatine. It's saying no, this is actually his last recording, or him slaughtering the younglings. I'm just like, no, this is actually his last recording.
This is his last recording.
His last recording. I've seen that.
That would be so cold.
Chuckled quite hard at that. Quite a bit.
Good times. Well,
anyway, so those are my feelings about Ahsoka episode 8.
That's Adam Corner. Awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
So we had a couple other segments here, and I didn't want to ape Grant's because I didn't mean to, because we do want to do the medal ceremony, which is so fun, and we give out awards for. We should really do it for the series, right?
We have a brand new thing.
Yeah, well, so this I have a new thing that I wanted to do, and to kind of differentiate it from the medal.
Yeah, I love this
ceremony was just kind of hit our checklist, and this is so like self-serving because we created these pillars, right? These names, and we're like, pretty much you need these. I think it's 15 is what I came up with. And I can actually cut and paste this into our chat, so you guys are looking at the same thing I am. But these 15 pillars, and we did them in Core World News when we were still employed on that wreck of a space station. And it's sort of like what you need to make a Star Wars. And so I just thought it would be fun after books and after full series and arcs and stuff if we sort of just check them off and see, like, are we right? Did it have all the things? Does it make a Star Wars?
Yeah.
And
are we rating these Padawan, Jedi Knight?
Yeah,
Jedi
I kind of
Master?
like that, and then we could actually kind of score it.
I kind of love that.
All right.
It's better than a number score. In my opinion.
I mean, of course, it's going to be next to nothing. Or we can see what a perfect score is and what a zero, bad score is, because it's essentially just like 1 through 3, right? But I will. So
that's fine. But I am taking notes.
Right. Oh, you are? Okay.
I'll take notes.
So yeah, Padawan, Knight, and Master. Right. Those are the how well they addressed.
How well it was done.
Each of these. Okay, so I'm gonna go through our list here. Was there the hero's journey, which is sort of like
yes, master level hero's journey with Vision Quest.
Yeah, cool. I would say so too. Yeah. I mean, examples of the heroes. Well, we got literally in the belly of the whale, right? So, yeah. So that was definitely there. And this,
I always trust
unknown
journey.
Agreed. Unknown worlds, like crossing the threshold, refusal to call. Right, we get that with her training to be. I think we get the whole thing. Apotheosis.
Yeah. So it was very much hero's journey. Yeah, 3++. Okay. Yeah, definitely master level. All right. Out of galaxy references. I mean, from the first note of the first like musical score, it was like, oh, this is like a Japanese samurai like movie right away.
There's 2001 motif sort of happening when you first see the first henge.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Or maybe the second henge.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think just the Kurosawa stuff alone is master level.
Yeah.
Like, almost too master level.
But I appreciated that. He said he was
Force Ghost level.
Right. No, he said he was going to go for it, and he went for it. Yeah. And I'm like, good. Like I wanted a bold, like really, all right, go Kurosawa. If you're going to go.
Yeah. I will also say that the titles alone are outside. I laughed out loud with the name of the 8th episode, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. Yeah. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like I was just like,
oh, come on. Does feature. I mean, and the wardrobe itself is sort of a portal. Right. But there's one of those books. I think the 4th book, the 3rd book. It like has the forest with all the puddles. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have not read it since I was.
And you can jump in the puddles.
That's right. The puddles.
Go into different.
You can go to different times in history. It is very much the world between worlds.
It's very world between worlds. It's almost where it comes from.
Yeah.
There's also Game of Thrones. I mean, the end credits sequence is like, I mean, a parody.
Very much. Yeah.
I forgot this was a pillar, but I guess it's now in modern Star Wars is a lot of. I guess Star Wars has always been Western samurai.
And I mean he was aping Kurosawa from the jump.
Yeah,
right?
That was the whole point.
It's there. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Sometimes it's a little more. It's done a little more on the nose in modern Star Wars, in your face a little more than. But
okay. So number 3 here. I'm gonna try to move this along here. Government, politics, economics, and trade. Anyone?
This
Night?
one, I was about to say I'm gonna go with
night level.
Yeah, it was done. I think at the night level.
Like confounding, like.
Yeah, it didn't feel organic. It sometimes felt a little forced. It felt like, hey, we had to do this
because it's a pillar.
Let's put some fan service in this part of the government.
You say pillar, I say canceled. What was the name of that? The something of the. Oh, I almost swore real bad. What was the other? What was the other show that got canceled because of
Ziono from Resistance?
No. The one that that never actually aired because of someone's crazy comments online. Rangers of the New Republic. Remember the Rangers of the New Republic?
Yeah.
This is what they were going to do in Rangers of the New Republic, and then they had to weave it into Ahsoka. I guarantee you.
I think they're just shoehorning it in to make sure they checked the government, politics, economics, and trade box. But okay.
So what level?
You know what?
So what's
the
your
X-Men
level?
pilot like diving in to save Ahsoka counts for me as sort of like understanding the government and like what these.
Yeah. All right. So are you going to Master from Knight, or are you sticking it with Knight?
I'm gonna stay on Knight.
I'd almost
loved that moment so much that I almost give him like high watermark.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in there.
Dude, just seeing an X-Men pilot dive in to save Ahsoka was like one of the coolest.
Yeah, I mean, they did play the Hera card pretty well. She was at like the base station.
Yeah, I like Hera
and that's
a lot.
the only thing saving it from Padawan for me. Now that I'm thinking back, there was a lot. I mean, we got Mon Mothma, and in a lot of Mon Mothma actually, and we even
that
Leia Organa.
Here's the thing, that's the problem, is when you have a show like Andor.
Yeah,
it's hard to rate this, which is clearly a night level of government, economics, and trade. It's hard to give this show
because that's Master. Andor's Master, right?
Yeah,
and this is
Night, which is still respectable.
It is.
Did you think Ron could truly be out there? I'm like, well, you are the same Mon Mothma from Andor, so you should be like calculating 100 different moves to deal with this right now. Like
she's overwhelmed. She's got a lot on her plate right now.
Thrawn, though. A Grand Admiral?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anyway.
Fair. All right. Ensemble cast. We got there, right?
Master. Yeah. Master.
Yeah.
Really? Because it was like 3 people. I mean, we barely got it. It was like Ahsoka and Huyang most of the time. I guess.
I had the door, Sabine and Ezra and Ahsoka all together, and like the whole help out and like them all. Raising their hand. Door, like there's just big moments. I think it's so cool to see a team use the Force together in that moment. And I was like, oh, they're all using the Force at once. This is cool. I like that stuff. That seems like new ground.
Yeah,
honestly.
I like that a lot too.
Yeah, I like that they spent the entire season building the team, and it wasn't just building and that's the end. We actually got to see him in action.
Yeah.
So
and there was a couple teams too. I mean, the cadre around Thrawn. He's got 3,
Yeah, that's
high witches.
A villain ensemble.
You have 2, and then another junior witch, and then you've got 2 former Jedi, and you've got an undead army. You got Enoch
and
the droid people or the droid helpers that operate the Eye of Sion are amazing.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyone remember Marok? I was gonna say Marok. Marok. Remember how big Marok was for like 3 weeks, and then people were like, "Marok who?" Like it's anyone have like green gas force on their Yahtzee
card? Are they ever gonna answer that question? Holy cow! No, I hope they never. I hope they never.
Never. Don't ever address it. But that's the thing is like I think that's why it's a master level is because like Filoni did it for the bad guys, which is the first time we've really seen that.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, I feel like we should rename. We called it Mentors, which is probably very accurate, but like I feel like you could almost rename it Master and Apprentice, which is the same thing. Sure. But like Master.
But no, I like that. Yeah,
I like that too. Yeah, we can call it Master.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm on board. Rename it.
I like that.
And that was the whole
Master.
That was the whole show. Yeah. That was the whole show.
Literally had an episode named Master and Apprentice. I think that's.
I mean, this is a guy who was the apprentice of the Master.
Yeah. Girl.
Well, I mean, but that's the other thing, right? Is we're dealing with multiple masters and apprentices in this series, which is nice.
I mean, I would argue the whole point of this show was to make graduate Ahsoka to a master level like Jedi.
Yep.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
That was it. Like she was like there. I mean, for us, 100%. It was apotheosis of becoming Ahsoka the White, but that's just sort of like dancing around like the true thing. Like,
is she ever knighted? Because I thought it was almost a knighting.
She was. They were going to knight her, and then she left before they knighted.
That's why I thought it was a knighting when I first.
That's good enough for me.
But she is like master level. Like when you see how Zen and sort of like, how she can just adapt to anything at the very end. You're like, this is like a master.
And she's literally coming to terms with becoming a master of a Padawan. I think that's literally like you have to train another Jedi to become a master in the Jedi Order. And that's what she finally like realizes she was a really bad master when she gave up on her pupil.
Sure.
And she went back to it and everything was completed. Anyways.
Yeah, I think it was a battlefield promotion of 2 ranks. Similar to like Kanan and Jarrus. I always think of Kanan and Jarrus. I know he only got knighted in that episode, but I mean, Kanan's a master by the end of Rebels, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, droids, aliens, and monsters. I mean, That was beautiful.
Yes.
Master Hu Yang has some of the best comedic moments in all of Star Wars.
Purgles count as the monsters, I guess. Yeah, I would count them. They're giant.
As far as giant monsters goes, then the Howlers are like fantastic.
Yeah, Master.
Aliens. Howlers.
Murley, the cat, the Loth cat, Murley.
Oh yeah.
So much
I thought it was like sparse, but it was very well done the way they used it. I mean, the Howler stuff alone was just like, I thought was so precious. It was like part of the plot and the story, and the charm, and same thing with Murley. It wasn't just like some things happening in the background. So I think that was great. Alien Worlds. I mean, I don't know. Like, we could probably probably get rid of Alien Worlds as a pillar, because it's like, what? So where else are they going to be if it's not an alien? Like, I guess if the worlds were too familiar, then you wouldn't get, like, if it was felt too real life. But it's like a pillar that I think is like a given. You can't be in the stars and not have it be an alien world. But I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away by Peridea. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I might similarly. Yeah. I said no jokingly, but I think I'm like Knight level on this as well. Yeah, I think we got a few and they were kind of interesting, but. You're
right. No, you're right. It was pretty, like, there wasn't anything fantastical about any of the there was very few locations, right? There are Peridea and Cetus, and Cetus and Peridea looked a lot alike, actually, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it might be a shortcoming.
I like Cetus with the red trees and stuff.
It was neat. Cool. I think we're seeing I was gonna say I think we're seeing a shortcoming of TV, right? Of budgets. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like The Mandalorian has done a better job at this, right? With a little more planet hopping, a little more diversity in planets. So I think Knight is a fair.
And we saw Coruscant again, but
nothing was like. Well, I mean, when we read that Fate of the Jedi,
I'm almost arguing. I'm almost arguing to bop it down to Apprentice,
Padawan.
Yeah, I think I might.
Is this the lowest series as far?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
that's fine.
You don't have.
I would like one. I would like a couple of us to go Padawan at some point, because I mean, like,
that's kind of the other thing is like I don't want to be like overly generous, but but I think the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I liked what they showed me, but it didn't feel Star Warsy in terms of like really exotic locations.
Yeah, I'll go Padawan too, because even Cetus felt like the volume and just felt like a single cliffside. Kind of setting, and I think the Maruk fight is in the woods, but I don't know if there's enough traversal through the woods or through that planet to really see anything else besides cliff.
I kind of wanted to see some other things going on in the woods there, like even if it was critters or eyes or
like critters in the red trees or something. It's like, oh cool, like they live like this in the dark and they have red eyes because the canopy is so thick or something. Something that was just like, oh, this planet is teeming with life. Something.
Can I break in with a completely random question based on my Black Series figures?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, yes. This is important.
So for those who are listening to the audio, I bought they're doing the Return of the Jedi anniversary edition of a lot of Black Series, and they released the Force Spirits. They don't call them Force Ghosts. A package of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. And Obi-Wan and Anakin are both blue. Yoda is gold. Is Yoda gold?
Huh.
Like, is his Force coloring gold? I don't think so, right? Am I going crazy?
Maybe he's just wearing more brown than them.
It's like sparkle gold.
No, but like maybe because they're covered. So for the listeners, again, they're covered in this like
film,
this cloth film, and they're whatever. And I did the same thing. I moved it away. If you move it away, it's hard to see on the camera, but it's gold. Huh. Just curious. Sorry, I just felt like I was having a moment of like,
he's a grandmaster. He gets the gold sort of aura.
Sure. I'm gonna have to go back and watch Return of the Jedi again.
I know. I guess I just gave Ben his homework once again as a watch Return of the Jedi. Also, why does this and this cost the same amount? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Why does Yoda and
I love this.
Why is 1/10 of the plastic cost the same
amount? When 900
anyway.
years you will be worth 3 times as much.
All right. Sorry. Next category.
Sure. Good versus evil.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. Master. I think Dave Filoni has proved in the past he just crushes. Heroes and villains. So I would say
I don't know. I might go Knight on this one. I mean, because it's like Thrawn is that weird. Like Thrawn is a weird like character that.
But to me, that's like that takes a master to do that. It's a villain you like.
I'm with
like a villain.
Same with Balin too. Like Balin was my favorite part of this whole show. Like,
Yeah, principal villains I think are just some of the hardest things.
But is that really good
so
versus evil though? Like, because we're talking like the core, like no, good needs to triumph over evil. I'm I'm not convinced.
I almost think that's easier to do though. You know, like if it's so black and white like that, I think that's almost the easier way to go. Whereas the more morally ambiguous characters, that takes real mastery.
I agree, but I think we made it a pillar because it's always been something in Star Wars where it's like there's morally good and morally bad, and good triumphs over evil.
I think Morgan Elsbeth basically like feels like the main villain of
because
which was Adam. I'd love to come back around with you because I think you were like Baylan Skull. Hear me out, guys, and you're right because season 2, it is Baylan still that is basically being pushed forward with the Ahsoka storyline, and Morgan Elsbeth is the kind of main villain of the final fight, I would say. Of the season, and to me that was a little deflating because it was like Mando season 2 episode 7 all over again, and I was like,
I'm like. I felt no stakes.
Saw this
I felt
already.
Here's the thing is, and the other thing is like, I mean, maybe it did what it was supposed to do. Where I'm just like, oh well, clearly she's going to be adept enough to prevent Ahsoka from getting on the Star Destroyer. But I'm like, there's no way Ahsoka's going to lose to this person. Like, there's no threat at all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's just not.
Yeah.
And that brings me to why I am really between Master and Knight because I love. I guess part of it is like, do we understand what this pillar is? Like, have we? Did we?
Right.
Because
I don't know if we
because
did
like
a
I'm
good
not.
versus evil
I don't know if we've
episode.
done it yet because here's the thing. I'm just like, if Thrawn is supposed to be this threat, okay, they're making the argument that you can watch the show without watching anything else. And Carly had this opinion, and I agree with her because the other thing is like, why is Thrawn so bad?
Right.
What's going? You just keep telling me he's bad. You haven't shown me why he's so scary, and there's nothing in the series I will argue that shows that he's
All right.
scary.
Well, so the point they kept coming back on was Thrawn equals war. Thrawn equals war. Thrawn equals war. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so war is
him.
inherently
Right.
evil, and so therefore, it's like they have this tenuous piece, and then and he's going to disrupt all of it, and it's going to mean war and death for the galaxy again.
Yeah.
And so like in that, it's he is evil because he represents this like death machine coming back.
He's also could be a carryover for the new Jedi Order film, like some of the major features coming up.
Totally.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
It could be a total like.
But
if he goes back and just stirs the pot and creates chaos in the galaxy, maybe the Chiss will be that extra galactic threat for
which
the new
he
Jedi Order.
probably will, and I know why he's bad. But anyone who's not watched the series, it just feels like a lot of the series, like he's bad. Trust us. He's bad. Trust us.
Yeah, you're right, Adam. But Grant just got me excited that like after he drops off the witches on Dathomir, if he goes to the Chiss ascendancy, like how cool would that be? If he,
that would be amazing.
And then like
that
rallies his forces.
He's got to rebuild his
Star
forces
Wars
somehow, right? Yeah. I would not be. That would be a really interesting
just
play.
like rallies his forces and brings them back.
Just like he goes to meet up with her. Right. Yeah.
I'm going Knight, by the way. I've talked.
All right, I'm Knight too on this one.
I'm master on this.
All right, I like it.
I think Baylan Skull.
Baylan Skull is the thing that's pulling me, but I got to go Knight.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Shin Hati is a haunting. I would say, if you want to go evil or something, like I feel like she is. Morgan Elsbeth and Shin Hati are your evil sort of villain.
It's very true. Cannot get 1-800 Star Wars. How may I help you? Out of my brain. It's a meme that's been on the internet of just her with her headset. Going, with 1-800 Star Wars, how may I help you? And I love her. I think she's great, but I cannot not see that anytime I see her now.
Oh my gosh! All right, thanks for sharing that. I'll try and delete that from my brain. So the next one might be tough too. Swashbuckling.
I would say not until Ezra appears and Ezra becomes the swashbuckling character.
Because he looks like a pirate.
So true.
And he acts like it. Like he has that like jaunty fun, right? So that's why I would say Knight level, but I think a argument can be made for Padawan.
Well, it's like
I'm
so that's
talking
funny.
myself into Padawan. Go ahead.
So how we judge these?
Right.
It's like are we judging them based on if it occurred in the season or and how many minutes of screen time did it occur within? Or are we judging just if it occurs for just a brief moment and just how well it's done? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because for me, I'm just, even if it's like super brief,
yeah,
I'm judging that moment. I'm not thinking I need a lot of swashbuckling.
Just need to.
No, I agree. I don't want too much swashbuckling. Like, literally, we get it from like episode 4 when you're swinging across when you're swinging across it. But I'm like, that is like master level swashbuckling, and it's like.
I'll put master for myself because I think some of the some of the scraps that Sabine gets feel like
I would say
even though
I'd say master as well, just because of like the sheer number of like lightsaber battles that happen. They break out in like every episode, and it's like aha, and then like even though it's like it's more samurai like Kurosawa style. It happens like every episode. They're like, oh, lightsabers out, and like droids are dropping from the ceiling, and like it's more in the fight choreography.
I think so too, and I think swashbuckling also evokes like fun action, right? And like carefree action, and like I was even thinking of like the speeder bike moment in episode 1. With it's such a swashbuckling moment where she just Sabine, like punk rock music. Talking about, punk rock. I've got downloaded that song, by the way, but I've talked myself into
I shared that
with
you guys, right? I was listening to it the other day. Maybe I didn't.
The track is
fire. You can listen to it on Spotify.
It's on the Spotify. It's on
actually,
is it on the soundtrack?
I highly recommend the Kiner soundtracks that are posted, at least to Spotify, probably other things too. There's a lot of songs, but they're so vibey. Like a lot of it is just tonal, like just like drone noise, and it's like so interesting where it's not just like, oh, these are the jaunty sort of like moments. It's like there's so much of it that's just like really like low and slow, and like really it's a really vibey record. Like it's something that that I feel like could exist outside of just soundtracks. And then of course then you get to that I forget the name of it, but that track, the Sabine
the punk track.
And it's super fun. All right, the Force, got that check.
Okay,
I mean,
moving on. Check. Master.
I mean, he's doing the Mortis God.
I mean, the whole Sabine arc. Like, okay,
yeah, you have discussions about what the Force is. That to me is the big thing. Is you get it. Yeah.
This is all right. So my favorite one, maybe because I brought it to the circle here, but I honor what came before, presage what comes after, always expand. Master. That's what
Master
does, right?
He is the master of that. More so, I would say, than anyone else in Star Wars, including Lucas, because Lucas did it, right? Like Lucas created it, but like to be able to honor Lucas and add new stuff and try to move it forward and expand on it, and also tie it into, it's also weird because you're doing all this with like putting it as a prequel to the sequels and a sequel to the original. And masterfully kind of connecting all those things. So it's unbelievable. Yeah, give him all the money, let him do whatever he wants. I am sold.
Right on. All right, legacy and family. Oh, well, legacy.
Yes. Well, I will. I will say legacy in terms of it. They made it very clear, like you are the Padawan. Like I love that they've done that lineage. I will also always argue family to me in terms of Star Wars is the family you make, not the family you're born with, right? And I think they do a convincing job of creating the family that was created in Rebels and honoring that. Like the fact that the feels at the end when Ezra sees his adopted mother, basically, right? Like in Hera is amazing. And the fact that he even feels like there's some type of almost like an aunt relationship with Ahsoka. Like I think it's there.
The whole thing
personally.
with
Master.
I mean, Ezra or Sabine literally say it's like they're like my sibling. You know, the relationship between Ezra and Sabine are like brother and sister. Very overtly. That's not a romantic relationship. They just love each other and they just miss each other, and they've been through so much together. And I think so I would give that a master for that, because you're totally right about it's the family. I love how you said that that it's the family that you make, and that's exactly what Rebels is. It's like it was a little family.
It is. Yeah, it was a created family. It was an adopted family. And one thing that this almost did was almost talk me into not minding the slow crawl moments in the last 2 episodes, right? Where they're like, you should be in a rush. But there's almost like, because Sabine's been looking for Ezra for so long, and Ezra's been stranded for so long. And this moment of like, we know this comfort between the two of us will end
Yeah.
the moment we get to our destination. Like, right? Like, so there's almost like you could almost give them that selfishness of just taking a little bit of extra time to wanting to be that familiarity.
Can
and
we
that,
just
that
sit here
connection.
and be like together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not worry about the galaxy. But I almost wish, like, I often love subtext, but you know, sometimes you need some text to your subtext. And I feel like if like one other said, I know we're in a rush, but man, do I miss this? Like that would have been enough for me to be like, okay, I forgive this. Like I get it. They're being a little bit selfish.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But I think all you did was make me love those moments more. And for me, I want slow all day long. I much prefer that than to like say the Rise of Skywalker style, where it's like bang, 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 like hyperspace skipping. You know,
I am 100% with you. People have been a few people I listened to have been really grumpy about the opening scene in Ahsoka when she's like doing the Indiana Jones thing, and I love it. Like I want slow. Give me slow. Unless your slowness is counteractive to what you should be doing, and then I get angry.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know if you heard last week, but I was like, the ticking clock sort of concept and sort of how Dave Filoni's execution of that.
Don't add that in if you're not gonna do
was a little weak, given you know we have our Christopher Nolans and we have our there's so many incredible we run Lola Run like the short film, like there's so many like just great examples of ticking clock scenarios that like are just like, did he see this stuff? Does he like?
Don't add a ticking clock if no one is paying attention to the ticking clock.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then I was like, when I said, I was like, guys, I think this feels like a ticking clock sort of story early on. I felt wrong in saying that because none of the sort of like tropes of that sort of a concept were taking place. It was just kind of like. It just felt like take all the time you need, like just be zen about it. You'll get there. The Force will guide you.
Can the Force guide me faster, please?
Yeah. That and I don't know if you heard about our conversation about Thrawn and sort of the tactics Thrawn employs, and like maybe Thrawn should have been 7 steps ahead. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
but it just felt like they were tailing him on like a slow getaway. It was the weirdest. I just conceit. I don't know.
From Thrawn, I don't want another Palpatine. And Palpatine, I always argue, feels like, yes, it went according just to my plan, no matter what happens, right?
According to my design.
Right, where I'm like, no, you're just really good at pivoting.
Really?
You're really good at pivoting.
Yeah.
And I feel like Thrawn is the chess master, right? He's Sherlock. He should think, as you said, Grant, 7 moves ahead. They have not shown us that in new EU Star Wars. Just simply, they have not. But
Ben had a great counter.
Yeah, I mean, in Rebels,
maybe Force sensitives Jedi are the one difficulty.
Right. Yeah. They are the one difficulty, and they do. Yeah, that was bringing you back from the legend that. But so try to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to play devil's advocate with Rebels because it did seem like Thrawn kept letting them go, and it was like, and he does do that in in Zahn novels, but I think the whole point of that was he was trying to get like he's just tracking all their movements to find the base, like find the hard, chewy core of the rebellion, and then destroy the whole rebellion. And he does get his mano-a-mano matchup in Rebels. So in that way, I mean, it's very Zahn-like. So, so there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good defense.
That leads us to our next one, Wars in the Stars. I would say absolutely master level. We see the new Republic military. We have awesome space battles, which for me, a War in the Stars is a War in the Stars, and those space battles were great and they were frequent, which is great.
Yeah, I'm going night.
Yeah. Going night level? Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think...
Because it wasn't a war, it was a skirmish?
What is master, though? Should we define what war is, what films do?
So that's the thing, is you just use the word film. Like, I feel like it is... I feel like it's a limitation of of it. And again, there's nothing bad about night. In fact, I would say this is the only televised series, live action, that has gotten to the level of night for me. All other shows we've seen so far is clearly Padawan.
Because they're like skirmishes, right? They're not wars.
Yeah,
right.
And in some cases, NA. Like the first season of Mando, I wouldn't even write that as Padawan. Again, I think limitations. They're still figuring out what they could do. I'm not blaming them, but that's an NA for me. Like not rare.
Well, the Mandoverse movie will likely move to a mastery.
That will be master level because they have the budget,
right?
they have the time, they have it. Like, and I loved what I saw here. I just think it's as good as you can get,
right? And
to me, and I think that's a night level.
I think you know, maybe Mando gets by, and we don't need to really litigate every series now.
No.
Maybe because of the like New Republic shows up, it's just indicating that there is a larger government, and there was a war, and there are greater conflicts than just what Din Djarin's dealing with. Okay.
Which is kind of where we're at now too, right? Like we're not quite at war level, right? Like
you're making me want to go night as well, just given that it is, just dogfights. And I don't want to say just dogfights.
Great.
They were compelling.
They were well shot, well done, but it's not a
like
war.
Ahsoka.
Purgle's going through minefields.
I'm gonna go master.
Yeah,
just
that
to
Purgle's
think about
pretty
the T6
cool.
Kind of going into the Eye of Sion, and then it going into hyperspace, and the whole ship kind of going down. I was like, that's new, and I like that.
Yeah.
It's like how close proximity to ships that go to hyperspace are going to cause your ship to sort of malfunction.
Oh,
like
that is a cool scene.
That is cool.
Yeah, I love Ben's.
Different. That shows me that can be now a thing in future Star Wars. That like, if I go to hyperspace right in front of this person, their ship's going to shut
just
down.
Malfunction, dysfunction. Yeah, and I love Ben's point about the Purgles and the minefield. Yeah, great. I'm still knight, but I get it. I like your master.
Was rad, honestly. The tracking mines. Okay, master. I'm going master because I just love the tracking mines. That was some of my favorite cinematography.
I'm sticking master just for the shot in I think it was episode 3, but I'm probably conflating it with the prequel series trilogy. It's just like they did like a shot where they showed a couple of A-wings flying alongside one of the large Mon Calas, Rebel fleet. And that's how you track the whole fleet, is like with the point of view of the A-wings. Like it's that really just stirs.
Or it's just a bunch of Nebulan frigates. I guess it's not the Rebel. It's the New Republic.
I don't know what frigates they are, but they look a lot like Purgles, which is really funny to me. But I can't spot them. I don't. Actually, I think it's Home One, so it's Mon Cala. All right.
But I mean, if Master is like the open of Revenge of the Sith, like that
100%.
didn't
right.
Yeah. Like here's
there was really no like I this was kind of my big takeaway of the whole season was like there was no big like Welcome to the Jungle opening like in this whole season. Like I was waiting for some giant moment to just be like this is
I think there's
incredibly rad. Like
I think they're saving it for the future.
I was listening to, I think they are. I was listening to a commentary on a different Star Wars movie they won't name, but they were like, hey, there's never been any other Star Wars movie that opens immediately in like space battle. And I was just yelling at my podcast, episode 3. Episode 3. Like
it's the best part of the movie.
It might be the best opening to a Star Wars movie. And it is my least favorite Star Wars movie on the entire list, but still it is the one where I'm like, I still remember the theater just going, we're doing this? Like, this is amazing.
That scene still gives me butterflies every time I see it.
So good. It's so good.
So, guys, you might, mentally be like, well, what's left, right? And so I confess, I unilaterally added not 1, but 2 new pillars.
Not 1, but 18 new pillars.
2?
No, okay. 2.
By myself, without consulting any of you, strictly for the purpose of this game of rating things. So the first one I added was iconic music.
I like it. Yep.
Because I just wanted to talk, because it is important and it needs to be there. And I think the Kiners or Kevin Kiner with and co nailed it. I think it like really made a lot of iconic, beautiful themes and developed his own style and flexed a little bit.
Yeah.
He also copied a lot of other themes, as he does more masterfully than anyone else. Like if he's so good at putting this light touch where it's like just resembles like a John Williams theme or something because it's an evolved theme.
For me, he's able to For me, he's like just so tonally flexible, like more tonally flexible than other
than everyone.
composers.
Like a chameleon.
Other composers are like, this is the tone of the piece, and sort of like just hammering down on one specific
style.
sort of like motif.
And
then Kiner's like, oh,
he can be anything.
I can be mysterious, and then like swashbuckling, and then like I can do all these things and just weave and keep shifting the actual score, which kind of bothered me honestly. Like I I almost need you to settle on something. I can't maneuver too much when you get going.
Yeah.
Like I need to settle. And so for me, I'm going to go night,
Yeah.
just given that it feels like it moves all over the place. It feels like a real collage.
Yeah.
And that's just, I'm going to go night.
I'm going to go night as well. And it's interesting. I feel like, Ben, you've spent more time in this music than we have. Like, I haven't listened to the soundtracks on their own. Yeah. But I will say, like, I think he did a really excellent job. I feel like, especially like, I don't know how to say this. It's gonna be like praising with like faint. Anyway, like faint praise, dabbing with faint praise. Where I was like,
no.
Like Rebels, he was like a Padawan because it felt like it's just like how many Lucas or how many themes can I throw in here? Which is like it's an animated show. He was doing
John Williams light, and that was like, probably what
what is requested. Yeah. He was asked to do it. He had a certain amount of time. It sounded great, but like. I feel like he's starting to grow into his own here, but I was exactly thinking what Grant was thinking is like it was like I don't know what his sound is. Where if you give me like Goranson
or Nick Britell, like, right?
Britell Masters, right? Like they have their thing. I know just like Williams has his thing.
I might like Britell more than Goranson at this point. Like that when you listen to just the Andor soundtrack by itself,
just the opening,
so good because it's so good.
Because Grant, this is. Back to what you were talking about, I want you to carve your own unique style. Something that like, as soon as you hear a few bars of a song, you're like, I know who that is. And Kiner has very good at a lot of things, but that's not one of the things he's been asked to do. And I mean, I think I blame it more on Filoni than anything. I also was like listening to Mandalorian and like the level of the score in Mandalorian compared to the level of the score in Ahsoka, and it's much softer. And I'd like to see Filoni let Kiner off the leash a little bit to do his own thing.
That's part of it. Like, there's times I would be like, is there a score? Like honestly, like it just needs to be cranked up a little bit.
So with all of these scores, in Rebels included, if you listen to them by yourself, you're like, oh, that was going on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I think I would have liked this season more if they doubled down on the whole Philip Glass Thrawn stuff, and they really did a better job executing the ticking clock and kind of matched that to the Philip Glass stuff that kind of happens in Rebels. And you hear, I think just once when Thrawn's on like the balcony with Balin and Shin, you hear that sort of like that Philip Glass type mathematical type composition. And like I almost think you could have married that to the ticking clock scenario in a really cool way, and that could have been awesome.
You could have done that.
And I thought it was so successful in Rebels that I was like, oh, let's just bring this back and let's just like have this thrum louder and louder and louder and louder until we get to the end and whatever.
I mean,
I like
my favorite.
I like his sons too.
Sorry for interrupting you a million times. I'm just so excited about this. For me, it was the traditional Japanese instrument score stuff that he did.
That sounds so good.
Okay, opening.
Like,
okay, when the show opens with the title card, like that music is amazing, but it kind of doesn't flourish elsewhere.
It was kind of
okay. That's not. Yeah,
so
the
first episode, like the first like minute of the first episode, it went from that like seamlessly into a very John Williams-y score, like prequel-y score, and it was beautifully done. But again, it's a little jarring for me. I'd rather just like stick with a vibe and make it work. But I do feel like over the course of the series, there was more and more and more of the traditional Japanese stuff, and that was the most interesting thing he did.
Okay.
But yes, it would have been fun if it was like a stark contrast between a lot of Japanese traditional and then a lot of Philip Glass hyper technical digital, like between the two sides. So it was like Ahsoka was always the traditional, and like Thrawn was this like Philip Glass.
What you're talking about is now beautiful. Like that's poetry right there. There's one something. You have the Japanese kind of woodwinds with Ahsoka, and then you have that just feel like a deep understanding of the sort of spirituality in the universe, and then the other is like, I am a tactician and I am thinking 7 moves ahead of you, and it's just this completely different vibes and stances about how to go about. But what's fascinating about the show is this is the first kind of TV show I've seen where it's like, the main villain you're setting up is not Ahsoka's villain alone.
Right.
That character's going elsewhere to do bigger things in the larger tapestry of the universe, which is like, it's like, what a risk.
Well,
what a bold risk to do that.
Is.
Like, because for me, it's like what you're talking about, Ben, would have been like a great way to go about it. But guess what? He's not the villain of this. I almost to what Adam said, early in our coverage of the show. It's like Baylan Skoll feels like the main villain of this story.
Yeah, or at least Ahsoka's main villain, because because Thrawn is just like, they have almost no history. Like, it's so weird that there's so much history between Thrawn and all of the characters in the show, except Ahsoka.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, so I added one more.
All right.
And this one, maybe I can be overruled on this one. But I just simply called it Heart. Does it have heart, as Tommy Heinsohn used to say?
Oh, no. It's Migs Mayfield on the pod.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids got hot, dude. But like, does the show have it? Because it's like, that's important. I don't know. Maybe it's too ambiguous a pillar to be a pillar.
I think the show has huge heart.
You're getting at something. I see where you're coming from. It's so weird because it'd be like, I don't like. But I don't want to start a fight. But if we're looking at the prequels, it's just like Padawan.
Yeah.
But like, there's something
romance isn't in here, because I feel like romance is something that I like in Star Wars that they kind of shy away from, or just don't know how to. I've never seen
it's not a pillar, because they just flirt with it.
We had debated
I've
about.
never seen it executed well since the original trilogy.
I know,
and not even like, I guess I Love You, I Know is like the best moment of romance. Like,
I really don't think romance is a pillar. I
can't think of a better moment of romance.
No, I agree. The more I've thought about it, we've talked about it before about putting it there, but it's just like it's like it's tried to be done, and I don't like
his romance.
But
the
like,
one thing
Lucas
that
is so bad at romance, other than I Love You, I Know, and that's all. That's not Lucas. That's.
In fact, it's I think it could be a pillar to avoid romance, because it's like, look at like Rebel, like, because of what Lucas did. Like, look at Rebels. Kanan and Hera had a child together, and they kissed once. And like, in fact, it's kind of a joke, right? It's like kissing equals sex in Star Wars. Like,
right.
There's like, none of them do romance. And even the like kiss between like Ben Solo and Rey at the end. Spoiler alert for the Rise of Skywalker.
Also, if that's a spoiler,
I didn't want to
listening
to
the
wrong
wrong
that's
podcast.
Right. The Fast and Furious podcast is next week. No,
it doesn't feel romantic. It really doesn't. When I see it, it feels, and it's odd because it's like should we have a category called romance all set up, no payoff? Like it's like, that's what it feels like, because it's just like you have like Finn and Rey set up romance in Force Awakens, like the flirtiness, the jokiness of like, have a cute boyfriend, which I still love. I think that's a really funny line. But like, there's no payoff there. And same thing, you get like a little bit of that in Last Jedi. You get some of that like chemistry.
I feel like The Last Jedi is the best romance we've had in Star Wars. Yet it's like, it's such a sort of like a no-go zone. Yeah. It feels like there's such a degree of separation in that romance that it's it almost like is emblematic of how romance has been executed thus far.
100%. Right.
It can never truly occur, which is weird to me, because it's such an opera. It's such a space opera.
But the romance isn't
like
there. It's just
really
not.
Executed
it's so
the
weird.
Romance extremely well. Like, Star Wars could flourish in a new way.
The most romantic Star Wars movie we have is Solo. Like, Solo is the only Star Wars movie with like romance at its center, at its core, right?
Good call.
Like, it's because it's Kira and Han. Because even like you look at like the other standalone, you look at Rogue,
and Lando.
And you look at totally, and you look at Rogue One, and like they remove that, right? Like, they were gonna have them kiss on the beach at the end, and they just realized that is just bad. And thankfully, they
it's a weird. Yeah.
I'm gonna say the biggest, boldest risk Star Wars can do going forward is have a really deep romance in the storyline, and so allow it to.
It'd be new territory.
Well, they did it in they do it in the novels, right? So we just read the precursor to Jedi Survivor, right? There was a lot of romance in that novel.
The novels are super horny. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, Marin and
I can't remember her name.
Kez or a stormtrooper.
Yeah, so we're embarrassing ourselves now. I can't remember it either.
Yeah. I forget her name.
Read a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was spicy.
It was very spicy. Yeah.
Star Wars going to new places. And to me, that's bold.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, what a bold swing," I'm like, you know what a bold swing would be is like executing an actual romance in Star Wars, because it seems to be territory that everyone's afraid to go.
That's definitely
very PG.
Even Sabine and Ezra, I was like, can they? I mean, like they've been missing each other for a very long time. They're friends. I'm fine with that. I love the friend zone quality of them. I think that's great. But it's just like, I don't know. It would be bold to take it in a different direction or take it a little further. I don't know. Like it'd be bold. It'd be cool.
In terms of like cartoon live action video game, like the most sex we get is in Jedi Survivor. Like the most like actual like
the book.
No, in the video game.
Oh no,
remember there's like implied copulation in that game.
Did they smash in the cavern?
It's very implied. It's heavily.
Oh wait, no, they
implied.
did. They smash on the like out on the veranda.
Yeah. Like it is. I mean, and the other one is like episode 2
bumping Banthas.
Or episode 3. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
that's just
no.
I can't. That's the capper. Can't top that. So heart. Does the show have heart? Yes, 100%.
The reason I brought it up, and I think I'm going to delete it now because it doesn't feel like a pillar to me because it's not well enough to find, is that I feel like this was Padawan level heart in this series. I like it. The whole like Ahsoka Sabine thing to me was like, she's like, I could have been a better mentor, and then like even the Sabine and Ezra stuff, it was like heartwarming to see Ezra again. But
I have an incredibly hot take
my
right
gosh.
now, but I am scared to deploy. Honestly, I'm terrified. to deploy
I'm strapping in for hyperspace.
I think Rosario Dawson thought there was a lot more heart in this show than what happened. Basically, like she feels like she had this real connection with Anakin, and like you feel like her heart is just singing in like the second half of the show, but just like there's almost nothing that sort of like creates that sensation for the audience. It's really all about Ahsoka feeling that. And I wonder if there was more that could have been done visually or I don't know, with Anakin that could have created some more heart there.
I'm going to call it Sith Advocate now instead of Devil's Advocate to get rid of that. But there's the one scene would be Ahsoka training with her old master's recordings. I thought like there's heart there. Like that was the one sort of indication that her heart was singing, and she's had this, profound, I don't know, revelation in her mind about how she views her master and her own legacy and all those things.
Yeah.
But I wish there was I wish whatever you said in that training, Paulo, I wish there was almost like recontextualized, like she's memorized it because she loves him so much or something. Like she says, like finishes his sentence or like something. It's something that's love is really pretty that you're like, wow, that's beautiful that she's so connected.
All right. I'm
there's part of me is like, she's just newly connected to him. Right. So part of me is like, she's never even watched that video. Right. Because of every baggage. And so I love that idea of like, she sees it now and can watch it now because of the new light she sees her master in.
Yeah. All right. So this is, I'm deleting it because it's too ambiguous a thing, I think, to say, heart's just not there. I think the pillars are supposed to be really concrete things. I think anything that you make needs to have heart, but that was, I don't know, it was all building towards a cliffhanger. And so therefore it's like, I didn't get any of that real catharsis at the end of the series that I was looking for. Just my
Hera's look to Ezra at the end, I thought was it was building there. That's where it started. That's where heart was really starting to build.
Yeah,
I feel like. But it stops immediately, so you're kind of shut.
No, but
it was like a postscript.
It was a postscript. It was weirdly. I almost wish that was the postscript.
Yeah.
As opposed to because I was just watching it. It does that, and then it cuts back to, Sabine and Ahsoka. And I understand why you go out on like Force Ghost and you go out on other stuff and the Bale and Skull, but like I would have loved the Ezra, hi Hera, I'm home as like the final scene thing because
and Mary Elizabeth Winstead's look kind of
Mary Elizabeth Winstead's look is so good. Like I literally we're on this podcast. I have it silent going on next to me. And I think you guys are talking, and I saw that scene play out. And I got to be honest, I checked out for about 30 seconds, watched that, and started to get teary eyed just with the looks on her face.
Yeah,
like she's
really
so
nice.
good, especially acting under all that makeup and everything else. Like it's really wild. Yeah.
And if you had doubts about the character working before that moment, I think you're completely bought in by the end.
Yeah.
So.
Holy
Great stuff.
cow! We've been talking a lot.
Are we on the medal ceremony now?
We are. I just glanced at our time.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yep.
All right, let's get into medal ceremony.
Time flies when you're having fun, guys.
Who won the finale, guys? What character stood out to you? Won the finale in your mind? I gotta say, Thrawn took the W.
Yeah.
But Ahsoka too. I think. Actually, no. I'll go Sabine. I'm gonna go Sabine, guys.
Anyone else?
It's Sabine.
Rolling through all the choices.
She's. Yeah. Sorry, I had to get the right one.
All right. All right, Sabine. Okay.
Sabine for me.
Yeah.
Adam.
Ezra.
Oh.
I'm
okay.
I'm just loving Ezra, and as much as the taking off the helmet, wearing the helmet, taking me off, drives me nuts. Everything that happens once the helmet is off is magical. The High Hera, which every time I hear that, I just hear him say "Hi, Mom."
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
here we go. Baylan Skull for me. I hung on every word.
Just that singular shot.
All 3 minutes we get.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about just 8. I'm kind of looking I'm looking at the whole series at this point. But you're right.
Oh,
in your mind, like who stood out as maybe the most important person?
Yeah. No, you're right. All right. So I'm sorry. I'll reframe my thinking now.
Well, I like that thing. That's a bold take.
Yeah.
All right, then I'm sticking with it. Baylan Skull.
Yes, because that's going to lead to a lot more.
Yeah,
and if
it's totally
he's the most captivating character in this series for
very
me.
much so.
He's so cool. Utini shot, best shot of the finale. Your favorite shot? I'm going to go with Ahsoka cutting those 2 stormtroopers in half and sort of like having her blades to either side. When Ezra pulls those stormtroopers and she cuts them in half, and she's just something about the blocking, something about just how Rosario is just doing the action. It just looks so cool. Like I love that shot.
I'm gonna go with the Death Trooper attacking Sabine with like half a helmet and is like gaping, like his zombie
jaw.
maw like there. That was a really powerful scene to me. I really loved it.
Yeah.
Did I steal yours, Adam? I'm sorry.
No. I feel bad. I've watched this episode twice. I've had it repeating on me in the background. Can I say nothing?
Yeah.
Like I don't even mean that as bad. Like I think Filoni's good. I think he's okay as a director, but like in terms of a shot that like is memorable, like not a ton. I mean, I think maybe the most memorable shot to me is right at the end where she's looking out at the rays through light and seeing Anakin, but that also feels schlocky to me.
Sure.
I guess the other thing I would say, which maybe I'll go with this just because of who I am. There's a scene where they cast their spells to raise the night troopers up from the dead. So it is going to be very similar, but there's a moment where the night trooper's sitting there and he does this arm jerk that is very much out of a zombie film, which is like an unnatural arm movement. So I'll go with that because that was a good. That felt like to me like a zombie movie. All right, give some credit there. That's good. Sorry, sorry, Filoni.
I mean, there's also the shot of Thrawn. It's like a dolly push into Thrawn, and the 2 ties unlock and like fly away, and it's like that shot is pretty money. Like that's a pretty.
Yeah.
I really like the Lord of the Rings shot with Baylan on the finger.
Yeah,
and like in the pull out on the mountain. I thought that was powerful.
Totally,
that was iconic.
Yeah.
Ben Bird's best blaster bolt barrage. Favorite sound effect of the episode.
I mean, all of the lightsabers.
Right. Yeah, lots of
like just like 20 minutes of lightsabers.
Yeah. I think because it was new, I'd go with like zombie noises. Like
there was
zombie groans.
It's a good thing because they also didn't overdo it. Like it was not overly, because I am a zombie aficionado from like literally from the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Because I saw Return of the Living Dead when I was 9 years old, which was not good, and then I saw Night of the Living Dead when I was 7 years old, which is really not good. But there's a reason why I have an obsession with zombies. That boy, did The Walking Dead beat out of me. But I will say that watching this, like, I get a little like judgy about how zombies are portrayed, right? And I was able to disconnect because I'm like, it's Star Wars. They're not really zombie. Like, there's no like, they're not Romero. There's not Romero rules here.
Right.
But if they had like too groany, I would have been like, enough. But no, it's just enough. It's just enough, right?
In fact, I don't know if they're reanimated to the point where they can like reason and they can actually like.
I don't know.
Like that. I don't know either. And it's a kind of a fun mystery. Because some of them can talk and some of them can't, and like, are those zombies? Are they all zombies? Are some of them zombies? Like,
so I don't think we've seen any zombies until that episode, until episode 8. I think I think that is a new thing, not a new thing, but I feel like it's a short-term thing to reanimate them. Right. I don't think the ones walking around earlier in the series are zombies, but that's my own personal thought.
All right.
Yeah. There's fantastic. I kind of like the whole rain hellfire on them.
Ooh,
when Thrawn has all
that's
the lasers fire. Like,
really
that was just a great moment. Lots of sound design in there. Really cool stuff. Just to see all those lasers firing from above was really cool. Best drip. Do we have any new outfits in this episode? Not really. Death Troopers. I guess the Kitsugi sort of Death Troopers are a new design. This weapon is your life award for best weapon, gadget, or item of the episode.
I mean, I might go with those like undercarriage bombardment cannons because I don't think we've seen.
I was gonna say no; those are kind of new. Yeah.
Okay. Not the blade of Talzin.
I was gonna say no one's going with the magic. No one's going with the magic sword. Anyone want the magic sword?
I don't.
I wasn't a huge fan of Blade of Talzin.
How about ooh, old lightsaber?
Oh yeah, Ben. Come on.
I'm sleeping. I'm asleep at the wheel here. Have we done lightsaber corner yet? Is it time for that? Oh, that was. I mean, actually, that was also that was probably my favorite sequence because it was like, oh my god, he's building a lightsaber with Hu Yang in Hu Yang's workshop, and they're like tittering around like that. I mean, that was the whole.
I loved it.
For me.
I also loved how fast paced it was. That it was like it wasn't a sacred ceremony, which we see a lot in terms of he's just like, I'm doing it with intention and thought, but I need to build a lightsaber kind of fast.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of fun to watch that. Yeah.
And I loved like the construction when you see those like the grip. They're like, no, these are all like little black metal discs that slide on. Like that stuff was great. And of course, the moment where he's like, oh, you're Kanan Jarrus's Padawan. He's like, I had 2 of these and I gave him one like that. I mean, that was very touching and
at heart.
Yeah, it is hot, kid. And then, and the lightsaber, just the fact that it's lightsabers is like, that was awesome. I love lightsabers.
The other thing I was going to say about lightsabers, since we're at lightsaber corner, is that I appreciated the fact that we had 3 characters with 3 different colored lightsabers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is good visual storytelling in terms of being able to track the action as opposed to like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Actually, Adam, cool. I'm so glad you brought that up because I did like a full rewatch and a lot of what I paid attention to was the coordination of lightsaber colors. And it was like really artfully kind of designed. It was like green and orange and white and red and then green, white, and blue versus orange, and it was very intentional. It was something we don't see a lot. Varied in a whole rainbow of colors that we never usually see.
Well, it felt very prequely in that way, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a variety of colors,
but it was more fun that way. Instead, it's like there's 2 greens and a blue, and you're like, okay, you don't really pay attention to it. But when we got so many mono and mono fights. And then when you finally get the cadre of 3 Jedi versus like a battalion of stormtroopers, which is just great in and of itself, where they're just like actually like, we've seen 3 Jedi fall to that many troopers before. And but these are, they actually fought through it. And but like the colors of the lightsabers were, just fun.
I'm going to go Sabine's bracers for just blocking a few.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue she had like Jedi reflexes the whole time because it's like when she kept losing her helmet, which is like, okay, like tighten that thing up, kid. But like the multiple times she blocked blaster to her face with her wrists, and it was like, well, all right.
Yeah. Super cool. I made my mind a Sunless Spot best dialogue of the episode. I didn't really write a lot down from last week, so I'm going in blind here, but maybe I know you, Ahsoka Tano, because I Master, just the kind of ending, I think, monologue from Thrawn to Ahsoka for me was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Pretty fun stuff. I mean, the Great Mothers in the beginning have a really fun kind of chant to turn to change Morgan, but which felt eerie and fun in Star Wars because I don't think we get enough of that sort of like witchcraft, and I thought that was really cool. Don't try it award for worst decision made by a character in the episode.
Wait, don't we get to say our lines? Did we do our lines?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, go for it. You got one? Oh yeah.
I mean, it's so funny. I called that out, and I'm like, I don't have a good answer, but like, depends on is it delivery or writing, and I'm gonna go with delivery. And I said it before, it's just hi Hera, I'm home.
Yeah.
That breaks my heart in a weird way.
Yeah, delivery counts.
Because I'm also like, you're now. It breaks my heart because I'm like, you're home, but you're home now with war following you, right? Like it's
I liked it because he's literally on home one when he says I'm home.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's twofer.
Yeah, it's a twofer. I've got nothing to add. You guys, I think nailed all the best ones.
Hu Yang, I think they're in the saber construction is great.
Yeah, but it's not like iconic dialogue. It's fun.
No,
but like
No, it's not. It's a lot of like Kanan Jarrus was, I helped him construct his lightsaber. It's a lot of that stuff. Memeable moment award. Memeable moment of the episode.
Maybe like Thrawn telling Morgan Elsbeth she has to go die for the Empire. Something about there.
Some of us will have to stay behind.
Yeah.
Whatever you said there. Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. Or
like
that
Bane. That's Bane. Like they expect some of us in the wreckage, brother. Or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
or even her response, the four Dathomir response, right? You could use that when someone tells you something, you're doing it for something else for Dathomir.
Yeah.
The fire rises. I love that stuff.
It is very Bane.
Oh my! You've got a very good Bane, and I hope you've watched the Harley Quinn animated series because there's a lot of Bane in there, and it's
a lot of Bane, and it's very funny. Yeah, it's so good.
They all make fun of him for his voice.
I think Spectacular Species and Convincing Creature awards. I think nothing really new in this episode. One with a Force award, best Force related moment of the episode. Ooh. That's tough. There's a few, so it's your choice.
I mean, go ahead, Ben.
I'm sorry. I was probably just going to say the same thing you were. I mean, massive move forward with Sabine. Using the Force to pull her lightsaber to her.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a lightsaber pull for the first time, like Rey's moment in Force Awakens, I still get teary-eyed. Luke in the cave is amazing. So just anytime you get that unlocking of the Force moment, to me is awesome.
Yeah, and this was like the Force Awakens, The Last Jedi sort of blend, where it was like, I'm going to pull the saber for the first time, and then Kylo Ren them in the head.
Yeah.
I was like, perfect. Great. Great mashup. Don't everybody thank me at once, hottest take award. Anyone got one final hot take to deploy?
Do you have one to start us off, Grant?
End this show.
You don't always have to go last. Do you have
one? I started off with all my hot takes.
I think I started with mine. I think I said that maybe the Night Troopers instead of bandits, and you introduced them earlier. That's my hot take. It's kind of like I think Thrawn should have just deployed. I think he should have used all his men on that planet and almost walked the empty halls of the Chimera back to the known galaxy, because that would have been just haunting and cool to me. So I'm going to say Night Troopers should have been used earlier in the show. Yeah. That's my hot take.
Okay, so we're talking like edits, not theories?
No, just can be just your hot take of like whatever you think you would have adjusted or you think would have worked better, or what you think you totally disagree with that you haven't gotten out yet.
My hot take is that Morgan Elsbeth has the worst fake death acting I've seen in a Star Wars.
Oh, boy.
You want a hot take?
I mean,
give me a hot take.
That's
did she
lightsaber.
Did she fake
that was
her
like
own
me
death?
when I was 7.
There was
no
blood. There was no viscera. There was just, she sort of was like, you got me, and fell over.
Maybe because that's why I was like, I was 7 and I was like, oh, you got me.
Yeah, I feel like she could have survived that.
Maybe it was. They seemed like somewhat shallow wounds. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the best acting.
Yeah.
For that reason.
I mean, I would have rather she got bisected. Something a little more grave, but instead we had the great mothers be like, Morgan Elsbeth is dead.
Yeah. Is she?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she could be out there too. I don't know that I got any hot takes, guys. I just think
that's all right.
Yeah.
It can be a good hot take, like Dave Filoni is the future of Star Wars. Like, that's a hot take.
I don't think it's that hot. Online people, he's got a great following, and it's well deserved. And I think people really love him for it. I would probably say something like Shin Hati is going to become the father. So I think I maybe already said it. Like Shin Hati is the next series that Star Wars is going to have.
That's a pretty hot take.
Shin Hati should be the next series.
That's a hot take.
Awesome take, because that's like, hey, how about we divert the?
I had my hot takes earlier, but I will say another hot take is why on movies and TV shows, and why is the show continuing the trope when a ship that clearly is very, very loud is not being able to be seen, is for some reason making no noise, but the second it raises into eye level, it suddenly is very, very loud. It drives me nuts. Again, they did it in this show. I hate it. I hate it so much. Sorry.
Yeah, all right, fair.
How did the T6 not blow up when it collided with two TIE fighters?
Right?
That thing survived like a lot, like 30 years. I love that they tied. I think that's Hu Yang's ship. Oh yeah, because he's got his thing in it. Like, he had kept. I think there's a line where they say that Hu Yang kept that ship going since the Clone Wars. I want the Hu Yang show too. Like what? I mean, or a comic, or like something. Like, tell me.
Yeah.
Where did you guys meet? What have you been,
right?
Hu Yang, what have you been doing?
How
did you survive the Purge?
Would be awesome.
Yeah.
He's training Jedi through every 100 years or something.
Yeah, just give us like a 100-issue comic run.
100 issues.
Yeah. 25,000 years. You could do one every. I can't do that math real quick in my head, but you can do one every 250 years.
I would settle for. Well, yeah, that would be a great series. I would settle for one. Like that just covers like Hu Yang after the Purge, and or from the Purge on, or the the fall of the Jedi Order to where to Ahsoka. Like what happened? Like
that'd be cool. I'd read that.
All right.
That's it, guys. That's the awards. That's the medal ceremony.
Yeah.
We did it.
All right.
Nice.
And yes, this has turned into a very chunky episode for a second episode of Ahsoka, but it was great. I mean, I don't think we can celebrate these live action series enough, to be honest.
Love it.
So I'm glad to do that. We were going to talk about what's coming next. There's a bunch of stuff we have missed. A lot of comics. And then we're back a few novels, and we've got a bunch of we're entering a lot of new High Republic territory. It'll be great. Adam, do you want to walk us through sort of what's on the horizon?
Sure. We got a lot. So in terms of, we really have two big silos of stuff, which are novels and comics. And in terms of novels, we're backed up. We got about 4 that are out right now. That we could cover, which I think we talked about, or you talked about last week. Next is we're going to do Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade. Yeah. So we got that.
You're in for a treat. Everyone read that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Very excited to read that. We got From a Certain Point of View novel. That's Return of the Jedi. So the 40 stories, right? 40 stories? Yeah. And then we got our High Republic anthology book, The Tales of Light and Life, which is bridging, I think. It's all stories from phase 1, phase 2, and a few that will lead into phase 3.
Great.
It sounds like.
Stoked for phase 3.
And then we have Crimson Climb, which is E.K. Johnston's young adult novel that looks at Kira. Speaking of Solo, it's kind of Kira's story that talks about her path, getting into Crimson Dawn.
Did E.K. Johnston do the Han Solo book as well? Remember that Han Solo book that we read? It was that a YA?
It was YA, but I don't think it was E.K. Johnston. I think she was doing at that point she was doing the Handmaid's
series
trilogy. Yeah.
Because that reminds me of that, because I loved that book too. I'm killing myself because I can't remember the name of that novel, but it was.
I know. I'm trying to think. It was Fall. No, that was the Poe Dameron one. But yeah, I can't think of the one.
You're talking about The Princess and the Scoundrel by Rebecca Roanoke?
No, that was the Han and Leia.
The Han Solo one where he and Kira are still mucking around on Corellia together. It's sort of like a prequel to Solo.
Yeah. And the whole culminates with them getting in a ship and kind of getting out of the atmosphere, right? They don't ever really leave Corellia too much. Yeah. And this seems to be taking place after that up to Solo, basically, or up to her connecting with Han again. So that also means, excitingly enough, we're probably going to get a ton of Dryden Voss again, which one of my favorite villains. So looking forward to that.
And what about comics?
So that's where we are. Yeah. And then we got some other stuff coming out. They'll probably be coming out soon, but we'll cover those. Like the first High Republic is coming out in November, so we'll cover that. The first one in phase 3.
Yeah.
and then a ton of comics. So just to remind listeners, the way we're doing comics, we're trying to do runs of comics based on plot lines, which can be a little difficult to do because they don't name them helpfully like they used to, which is like part 1, part 2, part 3. But I think we've gotten a pretty good handle on plot lines, and we're doing it if they're out on the Marvel Unlimited app, which has a 6-month kind of delay. It's behind 6 months delay. Thank you. That's the word. And the reason we're doing that is because comics are great. You should support your local comics. You should buy them. But if you're going to be reading along with us, it's a very expensive proposition to be keeping up with every Star Wars comic while you can. Not that I'm shilling for Marvel Limited. It's a more affordable way to kind of keep pretty close up to date. So that's what we're doing, is we're kind of looking at that window. With that window, we have a Dr. Aphra series. That's the conclusion of the Spark Eternal, if anyone remembers that. I think we covered that a lifetime ago. We got 3 short runs in Star Wars, the main run, which is like their time in no space, which is super fun.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to cover that. A couple other ones. Yeah, we have the conclusion of the Han Solo and Chewbacca miniseries to talk about, which is great. A run in Bounty Hunters, where, Ben, you'll be very excited to know that they come across Inferno Squadron. So we get some Inferno Squadron action.
Yep. I have read ahead on some of these because I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to read them, and I think, I got there. That's good times.
We still have some Darth Vader with the Handmaiden stuff going on. We need to finish that arc.
The Amidalans.
Yeah, finish that as well, yeah.
Yep. And then we got a Hidden Empire, which is the kind of the crossover event that we've been dealing with, kind of patchwork through some of the other series. So we have the main run of the miniseries to talk about. We have Yoda, one of the runs in the Yoda miniseries comic to talk about, which is always good. And then the Son of Staros 5-issue miniseries to talk about. So we got a lot.
Yes.
We got a lot of options.
Yeah, we'll have to mix and match and sort of them together. I'm very excited about Hidden Empire because Hidden Empire, we should probably do that last-ish, and maybe with the Yoda and Sana one, because it does tie together a lot of the series into one, right?
Yeah, I think we could actually do that next because I feel like we've been talking about a lot of it already in the other comics, and I think maybe we do that next in terms of comics. But next week, Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade by
Delilah
S. Dawson.
Delilah S. Dawson, yes.
And correction, Princess and the Scoundrels, Beth Revis. I just want to correct.
Nice. All right. Yeah. What a stable of authors they have. It's really wild.
They're lovely. All right. Well, super. So we've got a lot of fun Star Wars ahead. So if you've just been checking in on Ahsoka, that's awesome. But, I'll tell you, like, it's good to know these stories, and it's really fun to just you can do things in comics you can't do in any other medium. Same thing with novels. And I've been reading ahead, which I usually never do. I try to wait until right before an episode, but I can't stop myself. I've missed my Star Wars novels and I've just started digging in. So
yeah, that's what I do. I read them all and then go back and reread. But it's all, by the way, all that's leading up to Dark Droids, which is so far been a lot of fun.
I'm sure that's your favorite series. I can't wait to get to it.
Yeah.
All right. Right on, everyone. This was super fun. Thanks very much for letting us kind of do a 2-parter here on the Ahsoka series. I'm sure,
thank you guys.
I'm sure we'll not. Yeah. It's great to have you back, Adam. I can't do it without you, man. And it was fun to really just give this series its due. It was a blast. I
like the 2-hander reviews, guys. I think seasons might get a finale review, and then we might just do a follow up.
Yeah, I like that kind of a look back at the entire season. I think that makes a lot of sense. But we got a ways before we can do it again because Skeleton Crew sure looks like it got pushed back to 2024.
Oh, really? Oh, as long as it exists, I'm happy. I don't care if it gets pushed back. Then I'm fine.
It's going to be the new algorithms, all the metric, everything that they're looking at in the data seems to suggest a late January 2024 release.
Okay, I can live.
Yeah.
Oh, for Skeleton Crew?
For Skeleton Crew, that's the next one. Yeah.
That's not long. I can
not long.
Get that far. Are we going to get Bad Batch season 3 before that?
No, that's some point 2024. Okay. That's I think they said that's later 2024 or summer or.
But the Lando, what's exciting for me is I'm hearing all this talk of Lando, and now that the WGA just ratified their
contract
deal. It's I'm just waiting for the SAG strike to end, and I'm just so excited for Lando. I'm just hoping Lando really just hits the ground running when when they can.
Well, they can start convening writers' rooms, which is really exciting. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. All right, awesome. It's been a blast. Love talking to you guys. Thank you very much for listening to us, and join us in the Cantina again next week on. And why isn't that? Stand by.
I hear the Kevin Kiner.
Right. Can you hear it? Because I can't hear it. Yeah. Why? Here we go. This time with vigor. Join us again next week on
Cantina Chronicles.